Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. Today we have a book review of Everybody Dies by Lawrence Block. This is book number 14 in the Matthew Scudder series. It was published in 1998. I really enjoyed this book. It has a very simple premise, and it's something I've kind of been wanting from the Scudder series. I wanted a little more action. Most of the books have some, but they're more introspective looks at Scudder and his life and the folks in his kind of universe there in New York. But this one kind of branches out a little bit and gets, in terms of plot, and gets very concise and simple, but yet very dynamic at the same time. So it kind of starts with, bringing you up to speed that Matt's now in a point of his life where the golden years are on the horizon. He's still married with Elaine, and their life is going very well. And at the same time, things with TJ are still where they are. He's still utilizing TJ, and TJ's still working for Elaine at the art studio. Things are going well. Matt actually has his PI license through the state of New York, and things seem to be going well. And then they take a turn as his infamous and friend Mick Ballou comes back into his life like he normally does in most of these stories, and sometimes small or bigger ways, but this one in a very big way. The premise really of the story, the summary of the story really revolves around Mick and his bar Grogan's, and how a warehouse that he houses some of his liquor offsite is hit, and the two security guards that are guarding that warehouse that work for Mick are killed, and Mick hires Matt not only as his friend but as a PI to investigate what's going on, because Mick doesn't believe it's a simple murder and believes there's a motive around it. And so he needs Matt's help to determine who it is and what to do, so they can do something about it. And so that's kind of the premise of the story. If you don't want spoilers, probably now's not the time to turn off, because I'm going to get into some things here. But in terms of likes, there's a lot to like about this book, and I'll try to unpack some of it. It's bloody, there's bullets. Matt, gets a gun, through non-legal channels, so to speak, and he is wearing body armor, because there's a couple of places in the book where there's some shooting and shootouts and some fire back and forth. And one particular instance, Matt's having lunch with a friend, and he ends up taking a bullet just because these two killers think that he is Scudder. And so not only does Matt have good timing, but at the same time he has bad timing in the sense that his friend dies. So one of the shootouts later in the book, TJ's there with them, and he gets hit by a stray bullet in the leg. And Matt realizes, if you take him into Indy Hospital, then they're going to ask questions about, and have the police come down and take a statement, because there was definitely a shooting involved. And so when Matt hails a cab and is carrying TJ out, and they're keeping a compress on his leg as he's bleeding really profusely, Matt's asking the driver to take him somewhere that's not, a medical emergency. And the non-American cab driver is asking Matt these questions, but then he's like, well, I don't want you to get blood all over the place. And Matt's like, well, he pulls a gun on the guy, and he's like, you have a choice. You can either accept the $100, offering I'm going to offer you to get us to this location, or you can have more blood on your cab. And so obviously the cab driver takes the bait, and I have a funny excerpt from that part of the book that I want to read you. But some of the other things that I really enjoyed, the climax was really good. Actually, the pre-climax right before the climax was really good as well. It's wickedly good in the sense the climax, a lot of it takes place on Mick's farm, and how Mick and Matt set up an ambush to both, one, ambush who they think the person is that's been leaking the information to these hitmen, and also how they plan to set up an ambush if they come after them. And so I really felt like the climax was really good. I really like Scudder in the story. I thought he was really, really good. I like this side of his personality. I've kind of been wanting this for a while. I enjoy the other books. I'm enjoyed the series overall. Obviously, I'm 14 books into it. So, but I wanted to see some action, and I got it with this book. I thought there was also a good twist at the end. There's definitely a twist when it comes to they're headed to the farm and they're wanting to know who's the mole and who's been leaking information. And I kind of figured it out as they're talking. It's pretty obvious actually. But up until that point, I was still a little vague, and so I enjoyed that. In terms of dislikes, there's definitely some fluff in the middle that I could do without. There was stuff with Elaine. I kind of wanted a little more, even though I wanted action, I still wanted some more with Elaine. I thought she did some really cool things, with the Star 69. Again, we're still talking before the digital age, so to speak, with the phones when he's trying to figure out who's been calling and maybe figure out who that person is or where they're at type thing. And Elaine definitely helps in her role, so to speak, and especially when some of the cops come knocking on the door as well, and the guns that Matt had on him and on his person and such. But there was some fluff in the middle I disliked. In terms of I mentioned there was an expert, and I wanted to kind of read my notes here because I really enjoyed this. So at the point in the book, towards the end, after the shootout, TJ's hit, Matt wants to take him to a non-hospital, find a doctor that will do things for cash and no receipts and no tight-lipped. He tells the guy to take him somewhere, and the guy's like, I don't want you bleeding over. This is my brother's cab, blah, blah, blah. And Matt pulls the gun on him, and then he's like, okay, and he takes him, and Matt actually gives him the $100 bill, and the guy's like, I didn't think he would come through. And so at the end, they're almost to the place where Matt tells him to go, and the guy, the cab driver gives him his business card. If you ever need anything, night or day. And Matt's like, I love New York. It's the only place where you can pull a gun on a cab driver. And then he's giving you his business card when you're done with the transaction. And I thought that was I just found it really humorous. Maybe with the weekend I had, that just struck a chord with me, but I thought it was really good. In terms of score overall, I give this a 4.3. I thought it was really good. In terms of the Scudder books, it's highly rated. In terms of my ratings, I really enjoyed it. I've been looking for more action in the last couple books, and I got it here. I am a little kind of melancholy with the fact that, as Lawrence Block did, his subtleness into the fact that Matt's getting up there in age means that the end is near. And obviously I know that. I know there's 17 books and maybe a novella book, I believe, as well I got back there. So I'm down to 3 or 4 left, which is a good thing. It's one of my goals is to finish this series, but at the same time, I'm a little melancholy about it because I think I'm going to be even a little more harder on the last books because I want to get as much out of this character in the series as possible. So, but anyways, that's my review. Everybody Dies, Lawrence Block, book number 14 in the Matthew Scudder series, 4.3 out of 5. Hope you're having a great Tuesday, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.